Hey everyone, welcome back to Fudge, the podcast that dives deep into the chaos of modern life and helps you come out the other side with a bit more clarity. I'm your host, Alexandra, and today's topic is one that affects every single one of us. Whether we're broke, balling, or somewhere in between, it's all about your relationship with money. And no, we're not just talking about budgets and savings accounts. We're getting into the psychological, emotional, and even spiritual dynamics of how we relate to money. So grab your coffee, your tea, or whatever your vibe is today. Let's get into it. First thing first is understanding your current money story. Let's begin with a truth that rarely gets said out loud. Your financial habits are often less about money and more about meaning. What you do with your money is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. Your identity, your worth, your safety, your place in the world. And the root of all that? Your money story. A deeply emotional narrative shaped by your early environment, your culture, and your personal experiences. What were you taught without words? Let me ask you again, not just what you were told about money, but what you absorbed. You see, financial trauma doesn't always come from dramatic events. Sometimes it comes from silence, from overhearing whispered arguments behind closed doors, from watching a parent cry while paying bills, from being denied things you didn't even know were expensive until someone else told you. It comes from watching your single mom work 2 jobs and still have nothing left. It comes from hearing, "We can't afford that," on repeat, until those words sank in like a mantra, not just about money, but about life. Or maybe you grew up with privilege, but money was used against you as a form of control. You got what you wanted, but never without guilt or obligation. Here's the kicker. These early experiences form our financial nervous system. Just like we develop attachment styles in relationships, secure, anxious, avoidant, we also develop money attachment styles. This isn't just philosophical, it's neurological. Your brain is wired to create associations between emotionally charged experiences and survival. So if money was tied to fear, conflict, rejection, or shame, your brain filed it as a threat. And guess what? Even now, as an adult, when you get that bank notification, or when you have to open a bill, or when someone asks you to talk about debt, your body might literally go into a fight or flight response, even if you logically know you're okay. This is what trauma researchers call financial hypervigilance. Always on edge, always scanning for scarcity, always waiting for the bottom to fall out. Cultural, generational money stories. We also have to acknowledge the collective money stories we inherit. If you're from an immigrant family, money might represent survival, the one thing separating you from poverty. If you're Black, Indigenous, or a person of color, money might be tied to generational barriers, systemic inequality, redlining, wage gaps, and wealth denial. If you're a woman or non-binary, you might have been taught, implicitly or explicitly, that money is a man's domain. If you're from a religious background, maybe money was seen as a temptation, a sin, or something you're not supposed to enjoy too much. These aren't just personal stories, they're generational scripts passed down through actions, language, and silence. Some of us are carrying money wounds that didn't even start with us. They started with our ancestors, with war, colonization, displacement, oppression. And you may be the first in your family trying to rewrite that narrative without a roadmap. Real-world examples. Relatable money stories. Let's ground this with a few fictionalized but very real examples. Case 1, the self-sacrificing giver. Jasmine grew up watching her mom give away money she didn't have to help family members, even when it meant not paying their own bills. Now, as an adult, Jasmine struggles to say no to anyone who asks her for financial help. She associates being good with giving, even if it leaves her broke. Case 2, the silent saboteur. Marcus grew up in a wealthy home, but money was used as a weapon. Success was expected, never praised. Now Marcus makes great money, but subconsciously spends it all. Racks up credit card debt, can't keep savings. Why? Because he resents money. It reminds him of power, pressure, and control. Case 3, the invisible child. Tasha's family never talked about money. Everything was fine, but Tasha saw her parents secretly struggle. Now, as an adult, she avoids money altogether. She doesn't budget. She doesn't look at her account. Because in her nervous system, money equals stress. Silence equals safety. Start noticing your patterns. If you've ever said, I'm just bad with money, I'll never be rich, I don't care about money, I just want to be happy. Stop. Pause. Reflect. These are not facts. They are beliefs. They are old code written by old systems. And here's the truth. Your brain is plastic. Your beliefs are rewritable. That's the entire point of doing this work. Rewrite your money narrative. Let me give you a powerful tool you can use after this episode. It's called the Money Reframe Exercise. Step 1. Write out your old belief. I always live paycheck to paycheck. Step 2. Ask, where did this come from? Who modeled this for me? Step 3. Ask, what has this belief cost me emotionally or financially? To reframe the belief in empowering language, I'm learning to manage money in a way that gives me peace and security. Say it out loud, daily. Repetition equals reprogramming. About deserving. Your money story isn't just about what you have, it's about how you feel, about having, about deserving, about keeping. You can have $10 in your pocket and feel abundant, or have $10,000 and feel unsafe. Money is emotional, money is relational, and once you start unpacking your story, everything starts to shift. And just to be clear, this isn't about becoming a millionaire overnight. This is about emotional wealth, financial sovereignty, feeling safe with yourself no matter your current number. We're going to keep diving into this, but remember, you cannot change what you refuse to confront. You cannot confront what you never name. So let's keep naming it. Let's keep unraveling it together. All right, now that we've started peeling back the layers of our personal money stories, let's go even deeper. Because if we're really honest about it, money is never just money. It's emotion, it's energy, it's identity. It's not just the numbers in your bank account, it's how those numbers make you feel. Let's talk about the emotional side of money, the stuff we don't learn in school, the stuff financial advisors often ignore, the stuff that quietly drives our decisions when no one is watching. Why money is emotional. Money represents a lot more than currency. It can symbolize freedom, security, success, self-worth, control, love, approval. And depending on your story, money might also symbolize fear, powerlessness, rejection, abandonment, shame. Think about it. When your account is low, when a payment bounces, when you can't afford something, that's not just a logistical issue. That hits something deeper. Your body feels it. Your heart races. Your stomach drops. You might feel embarrassed, angry, or frozen. That's not numbers. That's nervous system activation. The most common emotions tied to money. Let's name some of the most common emotional responses people have with money. 1. Shame, I'm so bad with money. I'm an adult, why don't I know how to budget? I have credit card debt, I feel like a failure. Shame is quiet but heavy. It isolates you. You don't talk about it. You just silently suffer and judge yourself. And here's the dangerous part. Shame often leads to avoidance. You avoid your bank app, avoid bills, avoid taking accountability, and the shame grows. Fear, what if I lose my job? What if I can't provide for my kids? What if I never get out of debt? Financial fear is one of the deepest forms of anxiety because it triggers our survival instinct. Your brain sees money problems as a threat to your safety, even when the threat is imagined or years away. 3. Guilt. Why should I spend this on myself when others have less? I feel bad saying no to a friend who needs to borrow money. Guilt often affects people who are raised in high responsibility or low resource households. You feel like money must always be shared or that you don't deserve to enjoy it, especially if someone else is struggling. 4. Anger. I work hard and still can't get ahead. Why does the system feel rigged? Anger can stem from systemic injustice, wage inequality, burnout, or being underpaid. And while it's valid, it can also lead to rebellion spending or self-sabotage if it's not processed. 5. Pride or validation. Look at what I just bought. I can finally afford the car my parents said I'd never get. Sometimes we tie our financial wins to external proof of worth, especially if we were underestimated or shamed growing up. It's not always toxic, but it can easily tip into performative spending. flexing instead of feeling. Let's talk about emotional spending, a term that's become kind of a joke, but is actually really serious. Ever find yourself ordering stuff online when you're stressed, blowing money after a breakup, swiping your card after a fight with your partner? That's not just impulse, that's emotional regulation. You're using money to fill a void, to feel seen, to feel powerful, to feel safe. But here's the trap. The high is temporary, the consequence is long-term. You get the dopamine rush, but then the shame creeps back in. This is where trauma responses come into play. People with unresolved emotional wounds often turn to money to self-soothe. Sometimes that looks like overspending. Sometimes it looks like hoarding. It's not about how much you have, it's about how unsafe you feel inside. Let's sprinkle in a little research here. Like a study published in Psychological Science found that just being reminded of money, not spending it, not earning it, just being reminded makes people less empathetic, less likely to ask for help, more physically distant from others. Because money, psychologically, signals independence and control. So when we're in survival mode or feeling vulnerable, we may use money to build a wall between us and the world, to feel in control, to avoid asking for help. This is emotional armor. Money becomes your mask. Here's something you'll definitely relate to if you're in a relationship. People bring their money baggage into love, into marriage, into friendships, and most of the time, they don't even know it. One partner might be a saver and interpret spending as reckless. The other might be a spender and see saving as controlling or deprivation. Arguments happen not because of the money itself, but because of the emotional meaning behind the money. And let's not even start on money plus dating. That could be a whole episode. But here's the summary. When your self-worth is tied to your wallet, dating becomes performance art, not connection. So what do we do about this? We start by normalizing the emotional experience of money. You're not weird or broken because money makes you anxious or reactive. You're human. The next step is to name your dominant emotion. Is it fear? Is it guilt? Is it resentment? Is it shame? Say it out loud, or journal it, or talk about it with someone safe. Because healing begins when we stop avoiding the truth. You cannot rewire what you suppress. And then little by little start to make financial decisions from a calm place, not a triggered place. Before you click buy, ask, what am I really feeling right now? Before you send that Venmo to a friend who always needs help, ask, is this generosity or is this guilt? Before you say yes to a financial commitment, ask, am I being true to myself or avoiding discomfort? These questions can change everything. Money is emotional because you are emotional, and that's not a weakness. That's a window into healing, into alignment, into self-awareness. When you understand the feelings behind your finances, you start to reclaim your power. You stop reacting, you start responding, you stop spiraling, you start strategizing, you stop judging yourself and start listening to what your emotions are trying to say. Because guess what? Money isn't your enemy. It's just a mirror reflecting how you feel about yourself. Next bridge to cross is capitalism, culture, and conditioning. By now, we've talked about your personal money story, and we've gone deep into the emotions tied to your financial decisions. But here's where we zoom out. Because your relationship with money is not just shaped by your childhood, it's also shaped by your culture, by capitalism, by the conditioning that surrounds you every single day. And we need to talk about that, because otherwise we risk blaming ourselves for financial habits that were designed to keep us consuming, comparing, and chasing something that always seems out of reach. What is capitalism, really? Let's start here. Capitalism, at its core, is an economic system based on private ownership, free markets, and profit. It thrives on competition, efficiency, and, importantly, growth. But in practice, capitalism is more than just an economy. It's a worldview, a lens, a culture. It teaches us that value is economic. It subtly and sometimes loudly says, you're only as worthy as what you produce. Time is money. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. More is better. You don't have enough, and you are not enough. Sound familiar? This is the world we've been raised in, where money doesn't just buy things, it buys identity, power, influence, attention, even basic safety. Cultural conditioning, the silent curriculum. From the moment we're born, we're absorbing a silent curriculum around money. Think about this. Children's TV shows show rich characters as heroes, poor ones as pitiful or comedic. Ads tell us we need more, newer, better, constantly. Schools rarely teach personal finance, but they do grade you on how well you follow systems. Social media glamorizes luxury, but never shows the credit card debt, the unpaid taxes, or the emotional emptiness behind it. And then there's this. Even success stories are weaponized to reinforce the idea that if you're not wealthy, you must not be trying hard enough. We're sold the myth of meritocracy, the idea that anyone can make it if they work hard. But that myth completely ignores systemic barriers, racism, sexism, ableism, generational poverty, immigration status, trauma, mental health, and more. The truth is, the system isn't designed for everyone to win. And that's not a conspiracy, it's math. Under capitalism, for some to win big, many must stay in positions of economic scarcity. In fact, capitalism requires inequality in order to function. It's not broken, it's working exactly as intended. We are constantly being trained to believe that buying equals becoming, spending equals self-expression, possessions equals personality. Need proof? Just look at the way we talk about shopping. Retail therapy, treat yourself, add to cart equals add to joy. Listen, I'm not judging that. Buying things can be fun, it can be satisfying, it can even be healing in certain ways. But here's the trap. When your sense of self-worth is tied to how much you own or how on trend you are, then your identity becomes fragile because it's rented, not rooted. We start using money to fill emotional gaps, not realizing those gaps were created by a system that first made us feel empty. Let's go even deeper into this. In a capitalist, performance-based society, there's an enormous pressure to always be earning more, spending more, flexing more, working more, growing more cold. Even rest becomes commodified. Self-care is sold in the form of spa kits, skincare routines, expensive teas and productivity journals. Even your leisure must be optimized, monetized, branded. This creates what I call capitalist guilt, the inability to relax without feeling like you're falling behind. If you've ever checked emails on vacation, felt guilty spending money on yourself, judged yourself for not doing enough financially, then congratulations. You've met the internalized capitalist voice. It lives in your head, and it speaks in the language of grind culture, scarcity, and comparison. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room: social media. Social media has taken our already fragile money stories and poured gasoline on the fire. Now, not only are we trying to survive financially, we're trying to look good doing it. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they've all created a comparison economy where perceived wealth is more important than actual financial wellness. You could be broke but look rich online and get praised for it. Or you could be quietly thriving and feel invisible because your wealth doesn't show up the way the algorithm likes. That creates an emotional dissonance. You're not comparing net worth, you're comparing narratives. And those narratives are highly edited. Pause and reflect. Let me ask you some tough but necessary questions. If you're listening right now, pause if you need to, or even write these down later. What beliefs about money have you inherited from your culture or community? How does capitalism show up in your daily life through pressure, guilt, or shame? Have you ever bought something just to feel socially validated? Do you define your worth by how much you earn or what you own? What would it feel like to define success outside of financial gain? These aren't easy questions, but they are liberating questions, because once you see the script, you can rewrite it. Listen, you didn't invent your money struggles. You were born into systems that were already here. Systems that teach you to consume instead of connect, to perform instead of rest, to chase instead of heal. But here's the radical truth. You don't have to play by the rules of a system that doesn't serve your soul. You can build a relationship with money that's about sufficiency, not scarcity, that honors your needs, not your ego, that sees money as a tool for liberation, not a measure of your value. You can reclaim your definition of wealth, one that includes peace, time, health, joy, and purpose. Because at the end of the day, your value is not measured in dollars. It's measured in how whole you feel. And that's a kind of wealth capitalism can never sell you because it's already yours. So far, we've gone inward. We've explored your money story. We've uncovered the emotional wiring. We've peeled back the layers of capitalism, culture, and conditioning. And maybe by now you're feeling a little raw, a little exposed, maybe even overwhelmed. If so, good. That means something is opening, something is waking up. And from here, we rebuild. This next part is not about shame, blame, or overnight transformation. This is about reconnection. This is about building a relationship with money that's rooted in clarity, respect, and emotional safety. Start with compassion. Before we talk about numbers, strategies, or financial plans, we have to talk about compassion. Because if you try to rebuild your financial life from a place of shame, fear, or punishment, you'll just recreate the same toxic cycle with new window dressing. This is inner work first. Forgive yourself. Forgive the version of you who didn't know what you know now. The one who went into debt to survive. The one who spent money to feel loved. The one who avoided bills because she was drowning in anxiety. She was doing the best she could with what she had. We don't build a better money relationship by bullying our past selves. We build it by integrating them. Reconnection over control. Here's the mindset shift. Most financial advice is about control. Budget harder, hustle more, cut back, clamp down, grind. But what if instead of controlling your money, you chose to connect with it? What if money wasn't something to dominate, but something to dialogue with? This means treating money like a relationship, not a transaction. Not something cold and distant, but something alive and sacred. Would you ghost your partner for weeks and then get mad when they stop showing up for you? Would you only check in with a friend when you're desperate? That's how a lot of us treat our money. We only engage with it from a place of stress, guilt, or panic. Rebuilding the relationship means building trust, consistency, and intimacy with your financial self. Let's walk through 5 foundational steps to start rebuilding your relationship with money, emotionally and practically. Make space to forgive yourself. Say it out loud. I forgive myself for what I didn't know. I forgive myself for surviving. I forgive myself for the mistakes I made under pressure. But forgiveness doesn't mean amnesia. Write down what those financial mistakes taught you. What patterns do you see? What situations trigger poor financial decisions? What pain are you trying to avoid or soothe? Turn those lessons into guardrails, not guilt trips. Step 2, create a gentle money ritual. Don't make your only interaction with money be stress. You need a ritual that invites mindfulness and curiosity. Try this once a week. Light a candle. Grab a notebook. Sit quietly. Open your bank app. Just observe. No panic. No judgment. Ask, what's coming in? What's going out? How do I feel about it? This practice helps rewire your nervous system to associate money with presence instead of panic. Even 5 minutes of conscious attention builds emotional resilience around finances. Step 3, define what financial success actually means to you. Stop letting capitalism define your version of making it. Ask yourself, is financial success owning a home, or is it being debt-free? Is it a 6-figure salary, or enough savings to leave a toxic job? Is it luxury, or is it stability? The most radical thing you can do is to define enough for yourself. Because until you define enough, you'll never have enough. Write your financial values down. I value peace over performance. I value time freedom over material status. I value ethical earning over quick wealth. This becomes your personal money compass. Step 4, set emotional and financial boundaries. Boundaries are not just for people, they're for habits and patterns too. Here are 3 types of boundaries you may need to establish. Spending boundaries. I don't shop online when I'm emotional. Giving boundaries. I don't loan money I can't afford to lose. Energetic boundaries. I will not compare my financial timeline to someone else's. Remember, every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to your financial sovereignty. Boundaries equals self-respect, and self-respect equals sustainable wealth. Step 5, learn the tools, but ditch the shame. Eventually, yes, we need to get into the logistics. Budgeting, debt payoff, investing, credit repair, saving mime. But here's the thing. Information without integration is useless. Don't just download 5 budget apps and panic. Start slow, start kind, start with your why. Try asking, what kind of budget would support my nervous system, not shock it? What financial platform or educator speaks to me without condescension? What's one small win I can create this month? Make it practical, make it human. No crash diets, just sustainable money nourishment. Rebuilding is a process, not a performance. You do not have to perform your financial healing for anyone. You don't need to post it, prove it, or perfect it. You just need to stay present with it. Rebuilding your relationship with money is not a race, it's a return to intuition, a return to values, a return to power. You are not broken because you struggle with money. You are not lazy. You are not irresponsible. You are living in a complex world, trying to reclaim peace in a system designed to keep you distracted, depleted, and dependent. And every time you pause to ask, what do I believe about money? What do I want from it? You take a step out of survival mode and into sovereignty. This segment is the turning point from awareness to agency. Because once you stop letting the system define your success, once you stop letting shame write your financial story, once you choose connection over control, you don't just rebuild your bank account, you rebuild your belief system. And that's the real wealth. That's the currency that cannot be taxed, stolen, or marketed back to you. So take a breath, take your time. The relationship is yours to rewrite. Now that we've done the emotional healing, the deep unpacking, the cultural unlearning, let's talk about habits. The everyday tiny actions that over time can completely transform your relationship with money. Because here's the thing, change doesn't come from grand declarations. It comes from gentle discipline, from doing the small things consistently, mindfully, with love. So let's get into it. Here are 6 practical habits you can begin adopting, slowly in your own time, to ground your financial life in clarity, peace, and empowerment. 1. The 5-minute daily money check-in. Most people only look at their money when they're panicking, but the more you avoid your finances, the more you'll fear them. Instead, create a gentle ritual. Every morning or night, check your account balance. Look at your last 1 to 2 transactions. Ask, how do I feel about where my money is going? You're not analyzing, you're just observing. This rewires your brain to stop associating money with crisis and start associating it with presence. 5 minutes a day is enough to build awareness, control, and emotional regulation. 2. The weekly money review, 15 to 30 minutes. Once a week, Sunday evenings work beautifully. Block out quiet time and do a financial reset. Review all transactions from the past 7 days. Sort spending into categories: needs, wants, emotional, unexpected. Ask, where was I intentional? Where was I impulsive? What triggered overspending, if any? Then ask yourself, what do I want my money to do for me this week? Not from a place of guilt, but from curiosity. You're gathering data, not punishing yourself. Pro tip, pair this with a warm drink, a playlist, or candles. Make it sacred, make it yours. 3. The conscious spending plan, not a budget. Forget restrictive, joyless budgets. Instead, build a conscious spending plan, a term popularized by author Ramit Sethi. Here's the idea. Break your after-tax income into 4 key categories. 1. Fixed costs, 50-60%, rent, bills, groceries, transportation. 2. Investment savings, 10 to 20%, 401k, Roth IRA, emergency fund, etc. 3. Guilt-free spending, 20 to 30%, eating out, books, beauty, travel. 4. Debt payments, if applicable, student loans, credit cards, etc. It's not about saying no to joy, it's about saying yes on purpose. Give yourself permission to spend, but spend aligned with your values, not your impulses. One of the best habits for financial health? Reduce decision fatigue. The more choices you have to make every week about bills, payments, or transfers, the more likely you are to fall off track. Automate bill payments, minimum debt payments, transfers to savings or investment accounts. Even if it's just $10 a week into savings, automate it. Why? Because systems beat willpower every time. This also helps reframe saving as normal, not as punishment. It becomes your baseline, not a burden. The pause before purchase rule. This is a habit designed to interrupt emotional spending. Before you buy anything non-essential, practice this 3-step pause. 1. Ask, is this a want or a need? 2. Reflect, what emotion am I trying to soothe right now? 3. Wait, can I give myself 24 hours to decide? You'd be amazed how many purchases feel urgent in the moment, but fade into irrelevance after one night's sleep. This builds financial mindfulness, and over time, it saves you hundreds, if not thousands. 6. Build a money wins journal. This might be the most underrated habit on this list. Every week, write down 1 to 3 small wins related to money. Examples. I said no to a friend who asked for money I couldn't give. I checked my balance without anxiety. I made coffee at home 3 days this week and saved $15. Why does this matter? Because healing your relationship with money isn't just about doing better. It's about noticing how far you've come. When you document your progress, you build positive reinforcement. You shift your self-perception from I'm bad with money to I'm growing, learning and succeeding step by step.